Hi everyone, and welcome to the Web Ready Blueprint System live webcast on how, well, this first one is on...
It's on Google Plus and Google Hangouts and how they can affect your search, the benefits of the platform.
Exactly. And here to teach us is the infamous Dennis Duce, who is the guru of Google. And he has quite the setup here. We apologize for being a little bit late today, but it's going to be well worth your time. So hang on to your hats and admire Dennis's, and we'll get started. So, Dennis, it's all yours.
All right, great. So this is going to be a little interesting. For some reason, all of you guys out there in Google Plus land, comment tracker is not working for me. So I'm going to, from time to time, bounce into the comments right here. And unfortunately, these guys were going to get the experience of seeing what comment tracker is, and now you don't. What you are seeing is, many times, there are things called Google Gremlins. And when you're running a Hangout, there are little things that just sometimes don't work. And you just work around them. So, all right, let me pull up my notes. Oh, let's go to the presentation. That'll probably be a good place to start. And might help if you do the right thing though. See, this would have been a lot easier to do the presentation if I didn't have to use the second screen also to manage my comments. So, all right, so we are going to be talking about Google Plus DNA. That's my hashtag. And so feel free to use that if you want to say thank you for being here. But we're going to talk about how to dominate Google search with the tools Google's provided and for page one ranking. Literally, Google Plus is a power tool for dominating search. And I'm going to show you some case studies of things that I have done in the past. With that, I'm going to show you some examples, and we'll just talk a little bit about that. I am the kind of person that's open to questions all the way through. I don't do a Q&A at the end. Just ask me the questions. If the questions are off topic, and the second presentation I'm doing today is going to be very difficult to get done in the time, so I may be saying, that's a great question, write that down, let's talk after. We only have 45 minutes for each of these two presentations today. By the way, Dave Pipe, the other one probably won't get pushed back very much, so hopefully you'll be able to get your move done and still watch us. If not, Replay City. All right, so you guys are probably going, this is weird. This guy keeps talking to people who aren't here personally. That's one of the things that's cool about Google Hangouts, is they're so personal. This is not a television production. This is an interaction between the audience and the person presenting. And as you'll see, people will be making jokes. They'll make fun of me. The one thing that's really cool, you guys can't talk to each other here, right? Because that would be rude. But when you're watching these remotely, they're having so much fun. They're out here, they're making fun of each other and commenting, and since it's all in typing, it doesn't interrupt the presentation. So it's like being at a presentation that you can actually talk to your neighbors. It's pretty cool. All right, so we are going to talk, if this will go forward, about social walls. We're going to talk about understanding the social walls. Tannen and Leslie know a little bit about what I'm going to talk about here. But for you guys here, how many of you have been to Thanksgiving Point Gardens? Because an understanding of Thanksgiving Point Gardens will help you understand the presentation a little. The first walled garden that we're going to talk about is Facebook. Now, this is not a conversation about how many people are on each platform. This is a conversation about how each platform deals with allowing information to be seen by Google and to thereby affect your search. Those are two totally different things. So if you love Facebook, you love Twitter, you love Instagram, they're really fun and productive for you, great. This is about getting you found by people that probably are just going to Google search you, okay? And that's where we're going to really take our focus. So I'm not bashing these other ones, I'm just explaining. So, oh, I should probably screen share what I'm doing here. There we go. So now the remote audience can see what's going on. All right, this is the walled garden down at Thanksgiving Point. You know the one? It's got that cool little entry. Let's see. It's got the cool little entry. It's kind of covered, and you get inside it, and everything's contained. The walls, I think they're about 8 feet high, something like that. It's very contained. This is kind of what Facebook is like. Everything that happens inside Facebook stays inside Facebook, okay? It's not found very effectively by Google. It's a walled garden. It also tends to be like a garden party inside that walled garden. So if you show up at a garden party with all your friends and you start handing out brochures, what's going to happen? That's not going to go over well. And that's what doing business on Facebook can sometimes be like. Not always, but sometimes. Okay. And the earlier you got started on Facebook, the less likely you are to be offending people. If you're trying to jump into Facebook today to build a business brand, you are going to be that guy at the family barbecue handing out brochures. Okay, really. If you were already that guy handing out brochures a long time ago, it's still a cool thing. So it depends on where you're at with Facebook. But just statistically, this is actually a Google Earth shot of the garden itself. It's 125 feet across, and that's kind of important to help you understand scale as we move through this. So the next one we're going to talk about is LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay, how many of you guys, let's go back to Facebook for a second. How many of you use Facebook currently? Let's see, I got to get my mouse on the right side.
You can say.
Yeah, you can say.
I do.
There we go.
Now ask us.
Okay, how many of you use Facebook currently?
I do.
Most of you. Okay, for business or personal or both?
Both. Personal.
So, business, how many of you? Personal only. Okay, all right.
I have a business, but I don't use it.
Don't use it. Okay. How about Twitter? How many of you use Twitter? Okay. How many of you use LinkedIn? Okay. Kinda.
I need to use it better.
Honestly, I need to use both Twitter and LinkedIn better. They're not my forte, so.
We'll do some in the future so we can all learn about those too.
Yeah, and I can make them into HOAs. There you go. All right, so this is now the full Thanksgiving gardens that we're looking at on this picture. Much bigger, much more open, and that's kind of how LinkedIn and Facebook are. Some of the information does, or LinkedIn and Twitter, some of the information gets out. Okay, and some of it is found in search. Not everything is found in search, but there is information. Okay, so from the standpoint of trying to get found, they're a little more effective. I love that picture. I didn't take it, but I loved it. So the Thanksgiving Point from side to side is almost 1,400 feet from one side to the other. Okay. You can see we're starting to deal with a larger scale. Now we're going to talk about Google+. And let me get back over here. How many of you currently use Google+ in any way?
Trying.
You are trying very hard and you're doing great. Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad to see that because a lot of these presentations that I do, I get people looking at me like, Google what? What is that? What does it do? I don't get it. So you guys are a step in the right direction. Okay. So now we're talking about a full-on Garden of Eden, okay? Completely open, wild as can be. We're talking about Hawaii. Okay? From one side to the other, 2 million plus miles, or feet, sorry, 388 miles, 2 million plus feet. It's a lot bigger. From the standpoint of getting your information out and getting found, Google Plus is the place to be. In my opinion, if you can only do 2 social media platforms, it should be Google Plus and the one that you like being on the best. Not the one that somebody told you in a seminar was the most important one to be on. Google Plus is because you can affect search incredibly, and you can have clients find you just by searching stuff. And the other ones, if you like it, you're going to be successful at it. Now, you know, if you have more time, then you can do more. So I ask you the question, do you want walls around your social searchable posts?
No.
No.
No. All right, so we're now going to talk a little bit about Google Plus and Google Maps, also called Google Business, formerly called Google Local. Because Google Maps, Google Business, and Google Plus are completely the same thing at this point in time.
And what's it called now?
It's technically called Google Business,
Okay.
but where the information you put into Google Business shows up to the world, you can't really go to a site called Google Business, okay? All the information you put in Google Business shows up in either Google Maps or Google Plus. Well, in fact, it shows up in both locations. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that can affect your search. Before I go on, actually, I want to check on the comment thread here and just see how things are going back on the Plus. Okay, they're all talking about bacon. That's my wife's thing. My wife loves hashtag bacon, so yeah. Okay, we got a lot of comments going on. Let's move back to the presentation. I didn't see anyone jump on right now. And we'll go to View, Present. There we go. All right, so these stats, I want to show you some things. Right here is the source. If you want to check out this stat, write down that http://goo.gl and then that weird thing behind it. That will take you to the page within the website Statsa. And this is the date that this post was last updated. Okay? So, helps you.
What is this about right here?
This is about top 10 apps in the United States. These are, I'm going to show you some statistics on Google products and how important they are. But if you wanted to go and see the whole article and everything else, I've given you the link right here. So, oops, went to the next one. Okay, so these are the top 10 apps in the United States as of August 22nd, 2014. And what's interesting here is Facebook has 1.15 million people, okay, that are using the app in the United States. The next one is YouTube, that's Google. Google Play, that's Google. Google Search, that's Google. Google Maps, that's Google. And Gmail, that's Google. Now you may ask, wait, Gmail, what does Gmail have to do with, hold on, I want to switch my screen again. Maybe I don't. There we go. What does Google Maps, or I mean Google Mail, Gmail, have to do with search? Actually, it has a lot to do with search. This may sound strange to you. How many of you use Gmail currently? Okay. Here's the thing that's interesting. If you have received an email from somebody else who has their email account attached to their Google Plus page, and then you responded back to them and they responded back to you. 3 points of communication have happened on an email. Your search will now be affected by the things that that person has put in Google+. It doesn't have anything to do with what they're putting in Gmail. That's still private. But the fact that you've had 3 interactions says to Google, this person's important to that person. Therefore, when they search for robots, and this person over here has a fascination with robots, that post is going to come up earlier. Okay? It's called the semantic web. It's the ability for, and Google's the only one that really powerfully has the semantic web dialed, and the reason is Google Plus allows them to understand the deeper meaning of conversations in a way that Bing and Yahoo can't. So they're able to tie you to things that are important. They're able to understand what it is that you've searched for in the past and thereby help you to find more fitting things. If I say to you, my brother is a SEAL, what your mind thinks of is dependent on your brother. Is your brother a clown, a goof, always joking around? Or was your brother a Navy SEAL? Right? Which way you went on that depends on your experience. And Google is trying to get that kind of affected search. And Gmail is actually one of the ways that they help you find things that may be of more importance. Because quite honestly, if you're searching about something, is it more important for you to find a random post or a random website or to find information from a friend? A friend is going to be a lot more useful to you. You care more. Google understands that, so it's using these tools to help it give you that information. So the combination, by the way, of all of these, Google in this particular post is 280 million. That's a little bit more than 115 million for Facebook. The other thing is, how many of you have ever used Facebook to search for a business? A few people do it. Not a lot. How many of you have found Facebook search to be frustrating at times?
Yeah.
Oh, the same 2 people. It's just weird. I'm sorry, it is. So Facebook is a really great place to connect with your friends and to connect with clients who are already connected with you. But if what you're trying to do is garner new clients, that's not where people go to find this stuff. So let's take a look at the next stats here. Facebook is the #1 app. So this is Google and Facebook dominated US app landscape. So Facebook at this time, this is November 4th, 2014, not very long ago. Facebook #1. Again, YouTube is a Google product, Google Play is a Google product, Google Search is a Google product, Google Maps is a Google product, and Gmail is a Google product. So that's, that's a number of different ways in which you can engage. How many of you have businesses that are in any way, shape, or form local? Okay, most of you do. Okay, so Google Maps becomes really vital in your business. And in August 8th of 2013, Google Maps was the #1 worldwide downloaded app. Now, I don't know about you guys. For me, Google Maps is my yellow pages today. If I need to find something, if I know the business, I type in the business. If I don't and I know the category, I type in the category. And it takes me there. So if you don't have a listing on Google Maps, you just got missed.
Okay, so what if you're a completely online business? How do you list yourself on Google Maps?
You still use Google Business, okay, and you make sure that, so Google Business is basically your business profile page, okay? So like Facebook, you've got a personal page, and then through the personal page, you run a business profile page that multiple people can then run. This is a way of allowing you to have somebody potentially run your social without having to give away your personal password to your email account. Okay? So you set that up and you make certain that the conversation, communication, and the things that you're writing about have to do with what it is, my diabetes, that your business does online. Okay? One of the things that's really interesting, I want to just point this out. I'm going to go to a camera for a minute while I do this.
One thing to note too is that when you register with Google Business, now that you call it that, you have to, when you were initially registered, put your physical address in, but then once you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Once they verify that, then you can remove the address and just put a general location,
Well,
Greater Salt Lake area,
yes,
or whatever it might be.
you can do that. Also, if you're actually an online business, it gives you an option to create your page that way so that your address is not required to be verified.
Right.
So there is a way to get around that if your business isn't local. But if your business is local, you know, you definitely want to get verified for your address. Yeah.
Just a quick tip, if you do like I do and have a home business and don't want everyone knocking on your door, I just use a UPS store or mailbox store and more, some kind of P.O. box that has a physical address, and then it's suite number.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really good way to
Yeah.
utilize the maps.
Yeah.
Solves a lot.
Yes, it does. Okay, so what was I going to talk about?
Google Maps business.
An interesting thing, you said.
Oh, shoot. I apologize.
No, that's
You
okay.
asked a question.
This happens to me all the time. Don't worry about it. I have ADD, and I'm proud of it. It may come back to me. Let's see if it comes back to me.
All right.
We'll
Sorry.
move on. No, we're okay.
You were talking about Google Pages, Google Business, business profile page. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Using the map.
Well, at least you guys were
Number
listening.
one search thing, the map. Google Map is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And how important it was and why it was the number one feature.
Look, you guys are learning. This is awesome.
Just proving we're paying attention.
You are proving you're paying attention. That's awesome. And I'm certain that in the comments, if I had comment tracker up, it's so much easier to manage comments. But probably in the comments right now is somebody telling me exactly where I was going. Probably my wife. Okay. Let's see, yeah, we talked about that one. Okay, so this one, 5 Google local stats every marketer should know. Now, I'm often careful about using stats that are really old, okay? And these are really old. March 17th of 2011. But the thing is that they're still important. Even though the numbers are wrong, they're too low, they're still important. So they say Google Maps usage is 40% mobile. It's even higher than that at this point in time. More people are using it mobile now than then. Google Maps has 150 mobile users. Well, the last slide shows us that that's not true. It's a much higher number. This one I loved, though, number 3. This has to be higher as well. Google GPS saves drivers 2 years every day with route around traffic directions. You're stuck in traffic, and you want to find the fastest way to get to where you're going, and you pull up an alternate route in Google Maps. The combined, in 2011, the combined benefit to all the people in any given day that did that was 2 years worth of saved time. A little 5 minutes here and there can add up when you're Google. And then the last one was interesting as well. 20% of Google searches are for local information, and I'm certain that that one is even higher today than it was then. So this, though, is really intriguing. I can't believe these statistics. This one's a little hard to understand. That top line is the red line. That's the top 1 million websites in the world, okay? And those websites are averaging right around 40,000 of them that have an active Google Maps listing as of, oh, there wasn't a date on this one. I couldn't find it. Regardless, that's just bizarre. What that means is, in this room, 2 of you have a Google Maps page for your business and the rest of you don't. I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what that stat is saying. That's just silly. Between you and me, a good Google Maps listing is more important than your website. And I'm going to show you why that's true with my case study.
Even for online?
Huh?
Even for online or brick and mortar?
No, I would say that's more for brick and mortar
Okay.
than it is for online. I mean, that's one of those, I had a friend tell me one time that 63.65% of all statistics are made up on the fly. Okay? I bring that up because the last statistic was made up on the fly. I know it's rather true, and I don't know exactly, I'm guessing at this statistic, but I would assume that a website for an online offering is more important.
So a business that's 100% online can be posted but not on maps, but then
Oh, no,
next
they can be
step
on
up
maps.
would be like a PO box, which then gives it a physical location, and then there's the actual front door of the. Would you say that would be like the lowest thing you can do is no listing at all?
Yeah.
Then there's online only, and then there's PO box, and then there's brick and mortar that would get most of the map traffic.
Well, no, because even if you're just an online business, anything that is going to lead people to you and increase your searchability is of incredible value.
Got it.
Right? So I wouldn't say that for an online only business, I would not say that your website is less important than your Google Maps. I would say your website is more important. But Google Maps is an extremely close second. The flip side is true with a brick and mortar business. If you don't have your listing right on Google Plus and you've spent $5,000 in the last year and a half on your website, something's wrong. Because we're talking about $250 worth of work that just keeps on working. I'm going to skip these next stats. They're kind of interesting, but they're not directly, and jump into Hangout On Air and Google Search. Why is Google Search your business's search Garden of Eden? So this is a post I made in April of last year, okay? And you can't read it. I've come in a little closer, but it's still hard to read. What this was a Google search for was the term Utah Pawn Shop. At the time, I had a client that I was doing a weekly HOA for, and they have continued. I got busy with other things, and they chose to continue the HOA, but they're producing in-house. Okay?
Stress for people who don't know that an HOA.
Oh.
Yeah, what's an HOA?
This is an HOA. A Hangout On Air is what it's called. No, it's not a homeowners association, because that doesn't help you in marketing. It's this thing that's up on the screen, that's an HOA. Okay? So this post from last April went through and broke down the first 10 citations for the search term Utah Pawn Shop. Now you can imagine how difficult it is to rank for Utah Pawn Shop. That's not an easy term. There's a lot of competition from not just local businesses, but international businesses like Cash America.
Can you explain what a citation is to everybody?
That's the place in which you fall on your search results. So 1st, 2nd, 10th, 19th, 23rd, and each page has 10 listings on it or citations. So, if you're 19, then you're the 9th on the 2nd page. If you're 23, you're the 3rd on the 3rd page. Okay? So the first portion, you've seen them before. They're those ads that are kind of yellowish in color. Those are pay-per-click. Those don't count in the 10. Somebody paid. Well, they didn't pay to get there. I'm not going to get into pay-per-click.
Whole other conversation.
Whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother hour. Okay, so then partway down, the number 4 position was what's called the Google 6-pack. It's not always got 6 listings in it. It's a map feature. Okay, so when I go back here, see the little map thing up in the corner right there? when you see that in a search that you found, you're also going to see somewhere a multi-pack. It's going to be something between 1 and 6 listings, but we call it the 6-pack regardless of the number that are in there, of businesses that have good, solid Google Maps listings. Listings that Google really, they're robust, they've got content, there's engagement, people are, you know, commenting, they're telling people how good or bad it is. They're solid listings. So that's the 6-pack. And in this particular search, the 6-pack for Utah Pawn Shop at this time showed up in the number 4 position. All 6 of those are just the number 4 position. So you're still going to find another 9 listings on there.
So you're saying that if you have a more robust Google profile, you're more apt to show up in what you call the 6-pack, which are those listings on the right
The
side.
more you're posting, the more people are interacting with you, the more people are resharing your contact, the more people are, you know, giving you 5 stars. Those kinds of things are going to get you higher in the 6-pack. So,
which is nice because it's not paid for.
no, that's completely just you doing a little bit of elbow grease.
Yep.
Okay. Position number 6 on this search back in April was Lightning Pawn. And they didn't have a website at the time. They do now, but they did not have a website at the time. Yet they were in the number 6 position for one of the HOAs that I had produced. Here's the amazing thing. They were in the number 7 position also for one of the HOAs I had produced. And no website. That's just unheard of. Now,
Shows you the power.
shows you the power. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the value of having somebody produce your HOA or manage your profile page. Because we'll see here, there can be a big difference in what happens. These are 3 case studies of HOAs I used to produce that are still being produced by the owners, but I moved on and they moved on, and a lot of my clients decide to try and go it their own way. One of these case studies is now in negotiations with me to have me come back and take over, partially because of these numbers. So the numbers are the total number. This is the average views per episode. So it's the total number of average people watching on all of the episodes. And then it breaks down. So 66% were Gombach produced viewers, the average number of viewers. And 33% or 34% were the average viewers since they took over managing the show. Does that make sense? Leslie, when I explained this last night, had a lot of questions on it. I think I explained it better now than with you, but do you guys understand this statistic?
So I'm going to see if I can break it down. You went to a client and said, let's host an online hangout. And they said, great. You hosted the online hangout, invited guests, created content, pushed wherever it goes in Google Plus land, and they started seeing traction, and you had 66% of the viewers. They then did the same thing that you did, only by themselves, and they only got 34%?
Yes.
Okay, so that's disheartening for people like me that may be on a budget. Is there any tricks
Oh, yeah.
of the trade so that we...
And we're going to talk about some of those tricks in the next hour.
Okay.
Okay. And there are ways, I mean, I do consulting as well as full-blown production. So, you know, if you wanted me to review what you're doing on a weekly basis and nothing more, you put up the event, send me an email, the event's up, take a look at it. I can look through everything and go, you need a link here, you need to do this here, you didn't comment on this here, and give you pointers. That can be...
So on average, when setting up an HOA, I'll just pick on you. Like, what is the time that it takes to go from start to finish to get great results?
If you're doing a 1-hour HOA, you're probably looking at 4 to 5 hours per event. I highly recommend that HOAs are done on a weekly basis, unless you've got some big event like you're doing the book signing tonight. That's a little different. But if you do it on a weekly basis, you've got same bat time, same bat place benefit. People start coming back, okay, and you build a
You
community.
can also record them ahead of time, but play them at the same time.
Yeah, but most,
One of the advantages.
yeah, but keep in mind, the HOA itself, including opening up, inviting the guests in, a 1 hour HOA is about an hour and 20 minutes worth of time. Most of the time is sculpting the event in such a way that you get found. It's the magic behind the scenes, not the stuff on camera. Now, once you're on camera, there's a lot of ways to use Comment Tracker, which I'm doing a really bad job of, as I've explained today, to get comments to be increased, okay? On that last case study, the last episode I produced for that client had 2,500 social signals. Now, social signal in a Hangout on Air, social signals are different depending on what platform you're on, what it is that you posted on the platform, but on a Hangout on Air, it's a +1, which is like a like on Facebook. It's a comment, it's a reshare of the event, or it's a +1 of a comment. Those are social signals. Okay, there's 4 things. I had 2,500 on the last episode. A week later, they went live with the same show, same format, same everything we had set up, and they had 250 social signals 1 week later. Now, the reason I didn't bring in those stats, even though they're more dramatic than the stats I'm using, is trying to get them over an average so that they really meant something is a lot of work. Like, to do 1 year's worth of HOAs would take me about 30 hours, and there wasn't enough impact for putting it out
Do
there.
you mean it would take you 30 hours to?
30 man hours to dig through that content and find the answers I wanted.
So, is there not a
There,
tracking system to help?
there are some apps that track some of it,
Okay.
but I don't currently subscribe to any of them.
Okay.
So,
But the bottom line is, and what you're going to teach us about next hour, is that the more you can get people to engage while you're doing the Google Hangout, on-air Hangout, is the way that you're going to get the more social points and be able to be found more easily.
yes.
Right?
Yeah, in fact, yesterday I ran the same search, Utah pawn shops, and the result was they were in the 19th position for their website, and they didn't have anything regarding their HOA, even though they've kept doing it until the 6th page. Okay.
So consistency is important.
Consistency, the way you post, what you post about, how you engage with the people, all of these things are vitally important to the success of an HOA. So this is the same case study number 1. This is total views compared, 70% to 30%. Case study number 2. Now this one's really interesting. 60% to 40% for the average viewers, and in the total viewers, this client has gone on and produced far more shows than I had. I did 12 shows. This client has done about 26 shows since we parted ways. This is actually the client that I'm in negotiations with because they're getting great total views, but they want to increase the activity. Average viewers per episode, 70% and 33, or 66 and 33%. And in case study number 3, total views per episode, 23 and 76. There's all my contact information. If you want to reach out to me, get in touch with me.
So, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, I mean, you guys didn't interrupt me, so feel free to ask any questions you've got, and I'm going to also change out of this so that we can maybe look at any questions from the audience. Go ahead. What questions do you guys have?
Can you explain a little bit more about, about why Google Plus is so important and how some of why the search is so powerful, because they have all those different platforms that tie together?
Do we have another hour? I mean, really, the quick answer is Google is powerful because they have all these tools that tie together. The answer to your question was in your question. If you want to actually break down the way in which those things work together and overlap, it really is an hour presentation. But the most important thing is just to understand that there is power in the way in which Google has set up its business for you.
So I think I'm gonna tell on her question. I understand that if somebody sits down at a computer and says, I need something, they're gonna Google it. That's just what we do. That's what we say now. It's like a verb.
It's a verb, yeah.
Like, go Google it. And so you Google it, and I don't know about everybody else, I definitely search on the first page. I consider those to be the best. I don't know why. I could be totally wrong. But in my brain, the number one page is number one. I know the difference between the click searches and the non. I had no idea about the 6-pack, but that makes complete sense to me. I've seen it. I know it's there. So if we can figure out how to do all this work just to get us on the front page, that hopefully could get us somebody coming to our website or buying our product. Is that correct? So
Absolutely.
continuing to do this over and over and over again, month after month or day after day, or however you have to post it, is to make sure that we stay on that front page.
Among other things, yes.
Okay, what are the other things? That's what I'd like to know.
It's also about the engagement factor, the relationships that you build with people through the HOA. The audience, and it's so sad that Comment Tracker is not working today, because the audience can literally be here in the room if you're able to use Comment Tracker. And in my HOAs, that's one of the things I pride myself on, is the level of engagement that I get from the audience. I love my audiences. I mean, you know, David Pipe is there all the time. Adam Music is there all the time. Cheryl comes when she can. She's a nurse and she still shows up. Kristen Drysdale, Tim Longwell. I mean, I get these people and they come back. They're my friends, right? And I've built a community and a following. Kristen Drysdale always calls it the Duce, as if it was some kind of kingdom that you could be a part of, right? Well, try and do that with a mailer, you know, or a series of Facebook posts. You can't build that kind of community. And you and I talked a lot last night about the power of having a community. Well, by having this interactive thing, you can create that community. The ironic thing is that as you build that community, these other things start to focus energy back on getting the search. Because the more social signals you have, the more important Google thinks you are, so the more likely you are to get found in search.
That makes sense.
Right. We're going to try to have the comment tracker fixed for the next hour, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not on my end.
We'll
It's
let our
gremlins. I
audience
literally
figure
can't find it, actually. So it's not even showing up. But I'm going to reboot this computer, and hopefully that'll help.
Right.
So.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, can your Google Maps and your Google Plus presence affect the ranking of your website?
Yes, absolutely. It used to affect it even more. There used to be this thing called Google authorship. For about a year, you would see from time to time a little teeny postage stamp size picture next to a search.
I didn't know that was gone.
Yeah, it's a real bummer too, because it was a powerful tool. But yeah, Google ran its stats on it and decided it wasn't giving the benefit they wanted. Did you just smile because you noticed my socks are 2 different colors?
I love it.
Yeah, so authorship was this cool tool that helped you get recognized, but you can still link your website to your Google Plus profile, and that will then allow the information, that the fact that you're active on Google Plus filters over and benefits your website in the way that an active blog on your website benefits your website. But that's something that you got to know how to set up properly, which is never fun, actually. But it's worth it. So, did you have a question?
No, I'm grinning ear to ear because
you are. That's why
one of the biggest challenges, as we all know here, is filling a room for your event, and just how awesome that you can have a half full room, but have it basically standing room only by filling it nationwide.
Yeah.
This way.
Well, more than nationwide. Dave Pipe has been here for part of this. I don't know if he's still here right now, but Dave Pipe is in England.
Nice.
So, you know.
Mark Farasky, I think I'm saying his name right. He's talking about you and Tim
Mark.
Longwell.
Mark's awesome. What are they saying?
He's saying, Mark is saying, why do you think that most musicians and music seems to be moving better on Facebook versus Google Plus? Most artists are in Facebook and do not seem to be using Google Plus for their reach. And he says, oh, no mention of me, Dennis. I'm crushed.
Mark, you know I love you, man. And it's so funny that Mark brings up music because Mark and I are talking about doing some music HOAs together. Mark does a lot in the world of music production stuff, and by and large, Google Plus got adopted early by online marketers, and it got a rap that way as being the place for online marketers, and it's been slower to be adopted by other people. Most musicians do not see themselves as techie, and the feeling in the world is that Google Plus is really hard to operate and really tech heavy. It's not true, but that's the belief. Now you get into things like HOAs and you can get pretty techie, but just posting and commenting, I mean, I taught you last week some basics, and is it techie and difficult, more difficult than Facebook? It's just different, that's all. It's just different.
And you can do on-air hangouts simple
Simple.
and easy, as well as a major production with several cameras like this.
Yes.
So that's another thing to really point out.
And most of them are. I push the bound. There's about 5 of us in the world, and we know each other, that push the boundaries of multi-camera and complexity, and we get together and have private hangouts and talk about what's working and what's not. And
So do you, go ahead.
no,
I was going to say, the more I hear about it, it's kind of like this is the Wild West of, or the stepchild of SEO. And if you were to find, and I'm going to bring up the music thing, maybe if I was a budding new music star, and every Thursday I gave a concert and I put it out there, I think it would go global at some point, just as much as Facebook, because I would post it on Facebook too, but how do you find your companies, because there's nobody to follow. I mean, I guess I haven't Googled it to find out if anybody that's in my realm is killing it in my realm on Google Plus. So where do you go find that information? Like, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, or do you just try it and hope it works?
no.
Do you get crazy and say, I'm going to be a painter, so every Thursday night I'm going to paint a painting online and take comments and pictures, and you just do it and hope that it works, or sing a song every Thursday night, or...
Okay, again, back to the section on the value of using a professional.
Okay.
Like any marketing piece that you're going to do, you've got to take all of the aspects of your business. You've got to understand what's your value proposition. You've got to understand where you've been marketing in the past. You've got to understand what are your most profitable products. You've got to understand who your clients are.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand those things, then you can create a Hangout on Air. Just going, okay, I'm a painter and I'm going to paint every Thursday night and hopefully people will comment is not a plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun
Mm-hmm.
for some people and annoying for others. Depends on who you are. Okay? But if you create a plan and you design the thing so that it is going to raise search, even down to the title of the show and the title of the sections within the show.
Meaning using keywords.
Using keywords.
Optimization.
It's all, yeah. So if you're doing that stuff right, then you're going to find that you get the results you want. So just Wild Westing it and trying, probably going to get you frustrated and not going to get you much. And that's true of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. I don't care. If you don't know the rules, you don't live by the rules, and you just throw, let's call it crap, that's what it is, out there, and it doesn't have any value.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to know how to do it. And so really quick, and we'll talk more about this because we need to close down, don't we? Yeah. One of the things that I want to touch on is I've put together a package. It's a 5-series every 2 weeks. I'll meet with you. We'll set up your first week. We'll set up your profile or your page, your personal page, optimize it, get it right. Next week, we'll sit down and work on your profile page and answer any questions from the previous week. Then we're going to sit down and look at the postings you've done, and we're going to optimize those postings for you. Then we'll start to discover what it is that is the core of your business, so that in the 5th week, we can actually give you the outline for your HOA series. Now, if you guys buy within the next week, I will throw in a full production HOA. That's a $400 value on a 6th week. The package for the 5 weeks plus that bonus is $492, because my name's Duce and everything I do ends in 2. So you guys can talk to me after. Any of you that are watching remotely, just ping me through the chat feature. Tell me you're interested and we can talk more.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up right now. Stick around for about 15 minutes and we'll be back. We'll try and have the comment tracker up. The next hour is probably the most important one because that is the how-to. So we're going to go through exactly how to set up to do an HOA and how to promote it, all of those things that give you the social signals, and some of Dennis's tips and tricks, right?
Well, not just my tips. We're actually bringing in somebody remotely from Toronto.
Yes.
Who actually broadcast an HOA on Forbes.com website. So she's got some knowledge about how to get really powerful guests. So I'll be talking about some tech stuff. She's going to talk about the ways in which you can get really awesome guests on your HOA. So that's what we're going to be talking about next hour.
Her name's Debbie Horowitz, and she is also a master. So next hour is going to probably be the most powerful part of all of this. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Woo-hoo. All right.